All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving headfirst into some really serious data about Taiwan's collapsing birth rate. It's become a full-blown national crisis, and we're going to unpack what one incredibly powerful indicator tells us about the root cause, and maybe, just maybe, a way forward. Okay, let's just start with this visual because it really says it all. In just 25 years, the birth rate has absolutely plummeted. We're talking by more than half. And, the source material has a great way of putting it. This isn't some slow, gradual decline. It's an avalanche-style freefall. And that's the thing. This isn't some problem we can kick down the road for the next generation to solve. No, the consequences are hitting right now. We're talking about very real labor shortages, a workforce that's shrinking before our eyes, and all the social burdens that come with that. So, the big question is, what is actually driving this crisis? To figure out a solution, you first have to find the cause. And in economics and social science, that means finding the key leading indicator. So, what's a leading indicator? Well, it's basically a piece of data that gives you a sneak peek into the future. It's a clue about where a trend is headed. And when it comes to birth rates, we all kind of know that marriage rates are part of the story. But the real question here is, for Taiwan, exactly how big a part of the story are they? So, could it be? Could the marriage rate be the one single most important clue we have? To find out, we're going to dig into an analysis that compares data from 4 different developed countries. And let me tell you, the answer it provides is, well, it's surprisingly clear. All right, let's get to the reveal. Here's what the data shows when you put Taiwan side by side with the US, Germany, and Japan. Okay, so what this table is showing us is the lag time, basically how long it takes for a change in how many people get married to actually affect the birth rate. You can see for Taiwan and the US, it's super quick, just 1 year. For Germany and Japan, it takes a little longer, about 2 years. But now, look at that correlation number for Taiwan, 0.90. This is the number that just changes the whole conversation. So if you're not a stats person, a perfect one-to-one connection is 1.0. Getting a 0.90 in social science data, that is wow. It's almost unheard of. It means the link between marriage and birth rates in Taiwan is incredibly, incredibly strong. So what does that 0.90 number actually mean in the real world? Well, if you do the math, it means that a whopping 81% of the change in Taiwan's birth rate, all its ups and downs, can be explained simply by looking at the marriage rate from the year before. That's not just a factor, that is the dominant factor, by a long shot. And this really puts it all into perspective, doesn't it? It shows just how unique Taiwan's situation really is. I mean, sure, there's a link between marriage and having kids in all these countries, but in Taiwan, the connection is direct, it's fast, and it is exceptionally strong. In the other places, yeah, the link is there, but a lot of other social factors come into play. Not in Taiwan. Here, marriage is king. So having a correlation this strong isn't just some cool statistic to talk about. It's actually a crystal ball. It gives us a shockingly powerful tool to see what's coming next. So how does this work? It's pretty straightforward, really. Because that 1-year lag is so incredibly reliable, you can take this year's marriage numbers to predict next year's birth numbers. So you start with the estimated marriage rate for 2025, you multiply it by the historical ratio, and boom. The forecast for 2026? It looks like another drop, another new record low. But what does a rate of 5.2 per 1,000 actually feel like? What does it mean in terms of actual people? Well, it translates to this deeply, deeply concerning number. Only about 120,000 newborns next year. Think about that. For a country of 23 million people, that is another historic and, frankly, heartbreaking low. Okay, so this all brings us to the most important part of this whole analysis, the big takeaway. If we know that the marriage rate is the overwhelming driver here, then where on earth should the government be focusing its efforts? The argument from the source material is crystal clear on this. The key, the real key to saving the birth rate is to find ways to get the marriage rate up. Because without enough people getting married in the first place, just throwing money at childcare subsidies is like trying to fill a leaky bucket. You're not fixing the root of the problem. So what this really suggests is a major strategic pivot. It means thinking about policies that make it easier, more affordable, and just more appealing for people to get married. We're talking about tackling the financial burden of things like buying a home, supporting ways for people to meet and connect, even starting back in university.
And yes, of course, you still need to support parents with things like childcare, but the core idea is to treat this whole issue as what it is, a matter of national security.
You know, the data here really makes a powerful case. It seems that for Taiwan, the road to having more children runs straight through having more marriages. And so that leaves the entire country with a really critical, strategic question to answer. Is it time to stop focusing so much on the symptom, the low birth rate, and start focusing on the root cause?